Elise Moreau. Even the name seems to carry the weight of the ocean. A vastness she dedicated her life to understanding. From a young age, Elise wasn't just fascinated by the ocean. She was drawn to its depths, to the mysteries it held, and especially to its most powerful inhabitants, the Orcas. Growing up near the coast, she spent countless hours mesmerized by documentaries, poring over books, and dreaming of a day when she could connect with these magnificent creatures. It wasn't a fleeting childhood dream. It was a burning passion that fueled her every decision. That passion led her to BlueSea Sanctuary, a sprawling marine park in Santa Cruz. BlueSea wasn't just a job for Elise. It was a sanctuary of her own making. She started as an intern, eager to learn everything she could about marine mammal care, training techniques, and the intricate social dynamics of orcas in captivity. She excelled. Her dedication was undeniable, her work ethic tireless, and her genuine empathy for the animals immediately set her apart. She quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a senior trainer and eventually earning the coveted role of lead trainer for Kayla, an orca whose name would forever be intertwined with Elise's in a narrative of both profound connection and unspeakable tragedy. Kayla, a magnificent creature, black and white, a powerful apex predator, reduced to performing tricks in a chlorinated pool. To understand the tragedy, you have to understand Kayla. Adult female orcas are orange. They can grow to over 20 feet long and weigh over 6 tons. They are intelligent, communicative, and deeply social animals. Kayla was all of these things, but she was also something else, a captive. Kayla's story began in the unforgiving waters off the coast of Iceland. Torn from her family pod at a young age, she was subjected to the horrors of capture, a violent disruption that would forever alter the course of her life. Imagine the trauma, the sheer terror of being ripped away from your mother, your siblings, your entire support system. That was Kayla's reality. From Iceland, Kayla embarked on a grueling journey, shuffled between multiple marine parks across the globe. Each transfer meant adapting to new environments, new trainers, new routines, and new social hierarchies, often involving conflict with other captive orcas. The constant upheaval and confinement took a devastating toll. Her history, if you dug deep enough, was readily available, a litany of red flags conveniently ignored or downplayed by BlueSea management. Reports from other facilities detailed Kayla's erratic behavior, her unpredictable mood swings, and her disturbing displays of aggression. She exhibited signs of learned helplessness, alternating between periods of lethargy and sudden outbursts of frustration. There were instances of her refusing commands, bumping trainers during sessions, and even damaging her enclosure. These weren't just quirks of a playful orca. They were desperate cries for help from an intelligent, sensitive animal pushed to its breaking point. These warnings were consistently dismissed, overshadowed by the relentless pursuit of profit and the need to maintain a family-friendly image. After all, a killer whale acting like a killer is bad for business. It was a slow, insidious erosion of safety protocols, built on a foundation of complacency and profit-driven neglect, and Elise. She saw these signs. Despite the inherent ethical questions of keeping orcas in captivity, Elise genuinely believed she could make a difference in Kayla's life. She saw Kayla not as a performing animal, but as an individual with complex emotions and needs. She dedicated herself to understanding Kayla's unique personality, her preferences, and her triggers. She spent countless hours observing her, learning her subtle cues and anticipating her moods. Their bond was undeniable. a testament to Elise's unique gift for connecting with these magnificent creatures. But even Elise couldn't ignore the underlying tension, the subtle shifts in Kayla's behavior that hinted at a deeper unrest. She noticed the fleeting moments of hesitation, the slight listlessness in her eyes, the occasional unnerving snaps of her jaws. These weren't overt acts of aggression, not yet, but they were shadows in the periphery, dismissed by others as just an orca being an orca. Elise voiced her concerns repeatedly, raising alarms with senior trainers, veterinary staff, and park management. She pointed to Kayla's documented history of aggression, referencing internal reports from previous facilities. She advocated for changes to Kayla's routine, more enrichment activities, longer periods of free play, and a less demanding performance. Her pleas were met with resistance, dismissed by the relentless pressure for revenue, the upcoming anniversary show, and the need to maintain the illusion of control. The unspoken message was clear: the show must go on. Elise's intuition, her deep understanding of Kayla, was consistently outweighed by the bottom line. And that is where the tragedy begins. With the silencing of a voice that could have prevented it all. The story we're about to delve into isn't just about a single incident. It's about a series of escalating events. A chilling crescendo of warning signs ignored in the relentless pursuit of spectacle. To understand the tragedy that unfolded on that sunny anniversary day, we need to rewind, to trace the subtle threads of distress that were woven into the fabric of BlueSea Sanctuary. Threads that ultimately unraveled with devastating consequences. In the weeks leading up to the 20th anniversary celebration, a palpable tension began to permeate the atmosphere at BlueSea. It was an undercurrent of unease, noticeable to those who knew Kayla best. The park was abuzz with activity, decorations going up, rehearsals intensifying, and a sense of immense pressure building. This pressure, however, wasn't just felt by the human staff. It seemed to be affecting Kayla as well. Elise, with her intimate knowledge of Kayla's behavior, was acutely aware of these subtle shifts. The initial signs were almost imperceptible: a slight reluctance during training sessions, a momentary pause before executing a familiar command, a flicker of agitation in her usually placid eyes. These small deviations from her established routine were easy to dismiss, easily attributed to a fleeting mood or a temporary lack of focus. But to Elise, they were red flags, faint whispers of an underlying distress. She noticed Kayla spending more time at the periphery of the pool, seemingly withdrawn from the social dynamics of the other orcas. Her appetite, normally robust, fluctuated erratically. During training sessions, she exhibited moments of defiance, refusing to perform certain tricks, bumping against the platform with unusual force, and even emitting a series of high-pitched vocalizations that Elise interpreted as distress calls. These weren't isolated incidents. They were accumulating, forming a disturbing pattern. Elise, driven by her unwavering dedication to Kayla, voiced her concerns to her superiors. She presented her observations, backed by detailed notes and documented instances of Kayla's unusual behavior. She pleaded for a reduction in Kayla's performance schedule, advocating for more enrichment activities and increased opportunities for social interaction with the other orcas. She suggested a thorough veterinary examination to rule out any underlying medical conditions, but her pleas were met with resistance. The anniversary show was looming, a crucial event for BlueSea's financial stability and public image. Any disruption to the scheduled performances was deemed unacceptable. The prevailing sentiment was that Kayla was simply being difficult, that she would snap out of it as the show drew closer. The pressure to maintain the illusion of a harmonious, family-friendly environment outweighed any concerns about Kayla's well-being. As the anniversary day approached, the atmosphere at BlueSea became increasingly frenetic. The air crackled with excitement, fueled by the anticipation of a record crowd and the promise of a spectacular show. The stadium was transformed into a vibrant spectacle, adorned with colorful banners, flashing lights, and a booming sound system. The atmosphere was electric, a heady mix of anticipation and nervous energy. On the morning of June 12th, the day of the anniversary show, Elise arrived at BlueSea with a heavy heart. She had spent the previous night poring over Kayla's training records, searching for any clue, any explanation for her escalating distress. She felt a profound sense of unease, a premonition that something terrible was about to happen. Despite her apprehension, Elise remained committed to her professional responsibilities. She greeted Kayla with her usual warmth and affection, engaging in a series of calming exercises and gentle interactions. She hoped that she could alleviate some of Kayla's stress, that she could somehow guide her through the performance without incident. The stadium was packed. 800 eager faces stared down at the shimmering pool, their eyes wide with anticipation. The air buzzed with excitement as the music swelled, the lights flashed, and the Orcas emerged from the depths of the water. The show began with its usual fanfare, a dazzling display of synchronized movements, soaring leaps, and playful interactions between the Orcas and their trainers. For the first few segments, Kayla seemed to cooperate, executing her routines with a practiced grace. Elise, despite her inner turmoil, performed with her usual skill and confidence, guiding Kayla through the complex choreography with precise hand signals and encouraging vocalizations. For a brief moment, she dared to hope that her fears were unfounded, that Kayla would make it through the show unscathed. But then, at 2:47 p.m., during a trainer-in-water segment, the facade began to crumble. This specific act was intended to showcase the deep bond between human and Orca, a testament to the trust and understanding that supposedly existed between them. Elise, wearing her wetsuit, slipped into the pool, ready to perform a series of gentle interactions with Kayla. As Elise entered the water, Kayla's demeanor shifted. Her movements became less fluid, more erratic. Her eyes, usually so expressive, seemed distant, unfocused. There was a moment, a fleeting hesitation, where Kayla appeared to be struggling with some internal conflict. Elise, sensing the change in Kayla's mood, hesitated for a split second. Should she proceed? Should she abort the routine? But the show had to go on. She gave the signal, initiating the sequence where Kayla was to approach her slowly, gently nudging her across the water. But Kayla didn't approach slowly. She didn't nudge Elise gently. Instead, she surged forward with alarming speed, her immense body propelled through the water with frightening force. She slammed into Elise, the impact a brutal thud that resonated through the stadium. The crowd gasped. Elise was disoriented, struggling to regain her breath. Before she could react, Kayla circled back, her eyes locked onto her prey. This was no accident, no playful bump gone awry. This was something far more sinister. At 2:49 p.m., the attack began. Kayla seized Elise by the leg, dragging her down into the depths of the pool. The water, once sparkling blue, churned into a violent froth, stained with the first tendrils of blood. A scream, abruptly cut short, pierced the festive atmosphere, a chilling testament to the horror that was unfolding. The nightmare had begun. The immediate aftermath at BlueSea was a maelstrom of panic and denial. The air, thick with the smell of chlorine and fear, vibrated with the screams of horrified onlookers and the desperate pleas of park staff. As paramedics worked frantically on Elise's lifeless body, a chilling silence fell over the stadium, broken only by the distant wail of sirens growing ever closer. The vibrant hues of the park, once symbols of joy and wonder, now seemed garish and grotesque under the harsh glare of the emergency floodlights. The 911 call, a recording of which would later be leaked to the press, paints a harrowing picture of the chaos, the frantic voice of the caller, barely audible above the din, stammered through the details, the sheer terror evident in every gasping breath. She's ... she's not moving. The Orca ... it won't let go. Please, hurry. The dispatcher's calm, measured responses offered a stark contrast to the unfolding horror. A futile attempt to impose order on a scene spiraling out of control. Paramedics, arriving within minutes, faced a scene of unimaginable carnage. Elise's body, pulled from the water by distraught colleagues, bore the unmistakable marks of a brutal assault. Deep lacerations crisscrossed her torso, testament to Kayla's powerful jaws. Blunt force trauma to her head and chest suggested a relentless and merciless attack. Despite their best efforts, there was nothing they could do. Elise Moreau, a veteran trainer with over a decade of experience, was pronounced dead at the scene. The news spread like wildfire, igniting a media frenzy that descended upon Santa Cruz with predatory fervor. News vans lined the streets surrounding BlueSea, satellite trucks broadcasting live footage to a captivated and horrified world. Reporters swarmed the area, peppering park visitors and employees with questions, their microphones thrusting into the faces of those still reeling from the trauma. Headlines screamed, "Orca rampage at BlueSea. Trainer killed in shocking attack. Captivity kills. Is this the end for Orca shows?" The autopsy report, released just days later, offered a grim and clinical account of Elise's final moments. The findings were brutal, detailing the extent of the injuries inflicted by Kayla's immense power. The report confirmed drowning as the primary cause of death, but also revealed extensive internal injuries and multiple bone fractures, highlighting the sheer force of the Orca's attack. The details were so graphic, so disturbing, that many news outlets chose to redact portions of the report, deeming them too sensational for public consumption. Public reaction was swift and ferocious. The death of Elise Moreau ignited a firestorm of outrage, fueled by a potent cocktail of grief, anger, and long-simmering concerns about the ethics of Orca captivity. Animal rights activists seized upon the tragedy, staging protests outside BlueSea's gates, their signs emblazoned with images of Elise and Kayla side by side, now symbols of a broken system. Social media erupted with calls for the closure of marine parks and the release of captive orcas. The hashtag empty the tanks trending. Worldwide, the legal ramifications were immediate and devastating. Elise's family, shattered by their loss, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against BlueSea, alleging negligence and a failure to provide a safe working environment. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, launched a full-scale investigation, scrutinizing every aspect of BlueSea's operations, from its safety protocols to its training procedures. Internal documents, long buried and ignored, were subpoenaed and leaked to the press, revealing a pattern of cost-cutting measures and a blatant disregard for animal welfare. Kayla, the orca at the center of the storm, became a lightning rod for Public debate. Was she a cold-blooded killer, a rogue animal that needed to be euthanized? Or was she a victim of circumstance, a creature driven to desperation by years of confinement and psychological torment? The question hung heavy in the air, fueling heated arguments and dividing public opinion. BlueSea, once a beloved family attraction, became a pariah overnight. Attendance plummeted, revenue dried up, and the park faced mounting pressure from regulators, activists, and the public alike. The once pristine image of the sanctuary, carefully crafted over decades, lay in tatters, replaced by the haunting image of Elise Moreau's lifeless body floating in a pool of blood. But the tragedy extended far, beyond the confines of BlueSea. The death of Elise Moreau forced a global reckoning with the ethics of orca captivity, sparking a fierce debate that continues to this day. It shone a spotlight on the hidden costs of entertainment, the psychological toll of confinement, and the inherent dangers of forcing wild animals to perform for human amusement. Elise's death became a catalyst for change, inspiring new legislation, fueling activism, and prompting a fundamental shift in public perception. In the end, the story of Elise Moreau and Kayla is not just a tragedy, it's a cautionary tale. A tale of ambition, exploitation, and the devastating consequences of ignoring the warning signs. It's a reminder that some bonds are never meant to be forged, and that the pursuit of entertainment should never come at the cost of human life or animal welfare. The echoes of Elise's screams still reverberate through the empty tanks of BlueSea, a haunting testament to a broken system and a profound loss that can never be truly forgotten. And perhaps, hopefully, it's a catalyst for a future where these magnificent creatures are respected in their natural habitat and not forced to live a life of captivity.